right now is the happiest time in the world. Remember when she said it again?
That was his bad heart. He needs to lecture at the World Management Conference in Europe. He was about to leave, and he whistled assembly call. We all came running, and we were all together. It was the last time. Dad was trying to hug us all, and then Mother said it.
When I think of Dad, I don't think of that. I think of him color chalking our fingers on the typewriter keys, so even the babies were learning the touch system. We're making movies of us washing dishes, so we can analyze them and eliminate waste motions.
Painting diagrams on the wall to show the solar system, or the difference between meters and yards. Typing out messages in Morse code, telling those that understood where candy was hidden.
And how we hated distractions. Do you remember those two noisy canaries?
The one I named Shut Up! And the other, You Heard Me!
But the way I remember Dad best, he'd come bounding up the front steps with his arms full. He'd be busting to try out some new ideas. He'd come roaring into the living room, take out his stopwatch, and whistle assembly call. That meant come running. Didn't you hear that whistle? Come on.
14 seconds.
That's pretty good.
Only 8 seconds off the record. Where's your mother?
Upstairs with the babies.
I had so many children because I thought anything your mother and I teamed up on was certain to be a success. Now I'm not so sure. Let me see your fingernails.
What, Daddy?
Fingernails. Not very clean. Needs trimming. Looks like you've been biting them again. Look at these fingernails. Now, what do you think? What you need is a jackknife to keep those nails clean.
Gosh, Dad.
All you boys need jackknives, and not some little manicure sets for you girls. Here's yours. I'll inspect your nails again later. Now, where can I put these?
What's in those boxes?
Is it something for us in those boxes?
These boxes?
Come on and tell us.
Well, it's something fun, something interesting and educational, but I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Maybe the day after.
Dad.
Please.
Next week sometime.
Tell us now.
You're going to anyway. You know you are.
All right, since you insist. These are 2 Victrolas and some records.
But we have a Victrola.
Downstairs.
Well,
These Victrolas are for the upstairs bathrooms. One for the boys' bathroom, one for the girls' bathroom.
The bathrooms?
I'll bet we'll be the only family in town with a Victrola in every bath.
That wouldn't surprise me.
You see, I was thinking about all the time you waste in the bathroom. At first, I thought it was an unavoidable delay.
here we go.
But then I thought of these Victrolas. You're to play them every morning while taking baths, washing faces, brushing teeth.
Why?
Does there have to be a why for everything?
There doesn't have to be, but with you there always is.
When you start talking about Victrolas, dance music isn't the first thing that pops into our minds.
Well, I'll admit it's not dance music.
We might start thinking about dances. What kind of records?
Well, very entertaining and educational. Language lessons, French and German. Now, look, you don't have to listen to them consciously. Just play them and eventually they'll make an impression.
Not every morning in the bathroom.
I spent $160 on this equipment.
It's not even under wraps. Maybe you can still get your money back, Daddy.
I want to get my money back! And if those Victrolas aren't playing from the moment you get up until the minute you come down to breakfast, I'll know the reason why!
One reason, it's impossible to exchange a record while you're in the bathtub.
One can be in and out of the tub in the time it takes a record to play. That's why you're taught motion study.
But you didn't teach anything about taking a bath.
Aha! I'll now teach you how to take a bath without waste motion. Without dabbing here, dabbing there, taking an hour. Dan, Fred, bring over the little rug. We'll pretend it's the bathtub.
You mean right now?
I mean it once. put it there. I'm in the bathtub.
Yes, Daddy.
A little more hot water, Jackie.
That's fine. All right. Now pay attention. I have a cake of soap in my right hand. Now watch as I take it from the top of the arm, back up the bottom of the arm, down the left side. Got it? Shift soap. Same motion, other side.
Don't forget the back of your neck.
Oh, hello, boss. I'm not forgetting a thing.
Glad you're home early. What's all the racket?
Fingernail inspection.
How about yours? Biting them again.
Well, let's see yours. I told you not to do the dishes by yourself.
There's already too much for the cook to do.
Look, I'll take care of that. It's just a matter of saving motions. Dishes or bathing, it's all the same thing. Now continue. Give a little attention to the back of your neck and your feet, and you'll be out of the tub before you can say, bonjour. Now you know all about taking a bath without waist motions. Now, put the rug back and take the Victrolas upstairs. Now, boss, I'll go talk to the cook.
We'll both talk to her.
Grab on.
Which goes in which bathroom? We'll give the girls the French.
I much prefer French. Is you all French or German?
I think it's Spanish.
Dad has a system for everything, even conjugating French and German verbs in the bathtub.
If only think of a system for interesting a couple of boys I know at school.
In what?
In me.
A girl has to think of some things for herself. I did.
What do you mean?
I'm going to have it out with him.
Have what else?
Somebody has to, and I'm the oldest.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to stop dressing like a freak. Aren't you tired of all the boys thinking you're a freak?
Yes, but that's it. We have
I don't
to-
care what he says.
He might hear you.
He's going to anyway. Cotton stockings. No wonder we never get asked anywhere. The way it looks, I'll be the only person to go through Montclair High without once being asked to a dance. Whenever the phone rings, it's just some girl.
Oh, but a boy called yesterday.
He wanted my notes on the Second Punic War.
You think you would impress fellows. I mean, knowing things like the touch system and the Morse code.
But it doesn't matter at all. I had to do something. I bought some things, up-to-date things like other girls wear, and they look absolutely naked.
He might walk in any minute.
Let him. I'm not a sneak. What'd you get? Short underthings and silk stockings.
Silk stockings?
But when Dad finds out that you bought them, it doesn't matter. They're upstairs, and I'm going to wear them, and I'm going to be asked to dances, and lots of boys will want to dance with me, and I'll be a really popular girl.
And if Dad lets you wear them, he'll have to let me wear them too. And me. We'll be going to dances and having dates, and we can talk over different boyfriends and compare notes, and golly, silk stockings. And it's Dad!
More efficiency, that's all I hear.
Look, if you just apply motion study...
Motion study is fine as long as it's someone else's motion you're studying.
You better get along with dinner, Mrs. Fitzgerald. My husband told you he'd take care of it.
Lincoln freed the slaves. All but one. All but one.
We'll handle this the same way we would in a factory.
It isn't exactly the same.
Exactly. And what works in a factory...
Yes, dear.
seconds. Now, I have a wonderful surprise. We're going to try out a wonderful new idea.
What is it, Dad?
Dad?
What kind of idea?
We're going to set up a family council. Your mother's not going to run the household anymore, and I'm not going to run it either.
Then who?
You are. Me? All of us. Through a democratic family council. We'll have a family democracy.
Wow, Dad.
Everybody votes. You'll be deciding things for yourself. You'll be answering the questions that work out.
That's a good idea.
Wow, Dad.
We will?
You bet we will. You know how I get the factory set up on the joint employer-employee boards on the basis of personal aptitudes?
Yes, but what kind of assignments?
Every sort of assignment. This, that, and even work assignments. Now, You're going to love this. This is a great step forward. The Gilbert's Family Council is going into session right now. Arrange yourselves. Frank, get your mother a chair.
Just like in a factory?
I now call this meeting to order. That means quiet. Now, you'll notice that I'm installed here as your chairman. I assume there are no objections. The chair here, no objections.
Mr. Chairman?
Out of order!
Since this is going to be a democratic council, I think the chair should represent the common people.
You're very much out of order. The chair has the floor.
But you said you heard no objections, and I want to object.
Out of order means you're out of order, and sit down! Now, the first business of the Family Council will be to apportion the necessary work. So, how do you want to divide the work? Come, fellow members. How shall we divide the work?
I don't think anyone wants to buy the work or otherwise be associated with it in any way, shape, or form.
Well, this is democracy. And in democracy, everybody speaks. So start speaking. Dan, I recognize you. What do you think?
I think Tom and Mrs. Fitzgerald should do the work. They get paid for it.
Sit down, you're no longer recognized. Bill, what about you?
I think Tom and Mrs. Fitzgerald have enough to do around the house. So I think we should hire more people to help out with the work.
You're out of order, too. Now what, boss?
Of course, we could hire more help. But that means saving somewhere else. If we cut out all allowances, moving pictures, new clothes, and so forth.
Do I hear a motion to that effect? Who wants to cut out allowances? Moving pictures?
Seriously, we'll all have to help.
I move the boys cut the grass and rake the leaves.
And I move the girls sweep, dust, and do separate dishes.
And everyone makes his own bed,
Except the chairman.
except the chairman.
Agreed. Second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. Now, there being no other business...
Mr. Chairman, I understand the purchase of a new rug is intended.
Yes, it is.
Can the budget afford such a rug?
Well, I don't know. It sounds to me as if they have a good point, boss.
I plan to spend $100.
I move that no more than $95 be spent.
Second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm afraid you lose on that one, boss. Now, there being no other...
Mr. Chairman,
What?
I propose that we spend the $5 that we just saved to buy a puppy.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Second the motion.
A dog would be a pet and I'd be its master and we could all pat him.
A dog would sleep at the foot of my bed, and I would wash him when he was dirty.
A dog would be an accursed nuisance, and he would constantly... No one would wash his filthy, flea-bitten hide. He'd positively sleep at the foot of my bed.
Well, let's vote.
Look, any pet that doesn't lay eggs is an extravagance.
I'm afraid you lose on that one, boss.
I think this council is a very good idea.
There are lots of things we should take up.
I suppose next you'll be wanting ponies, roadsters, trips to Hawaii, silk stockings.
Mr. Chairman,
What?
there is still further business I wish to place before this council. And it's important. I'll show you. I'm not hiding a thing. I want the entire family to see.
Well, shall I go bring down the babies then?
Hey, be serious.
What is it?
To begin with, these underthings, these chemise, I'm going to wear them.
You will not. I'm embarrassed to even look at them. Put them back in the box.
I bought them with my own money.
You're to take them back in the store at once.
But there's only one other girl in school besides us who doesn't wear chemise. And if you don't believe us, you can come to school and see for yourself.
That won't be necessary.
I'm glad there's one other sensible girl in school besides you. But Mom, she doesn't even wear chemise. And if you don't believe us, you
But
can
it
come...
still won't be necessary.
They're getting boy crazy, Dad.
That's all they talk about.
You should see him eyeing the boys at school, in the cafeteria, the
You
hallways.
little snake!
Shame on you! You might as well know. It isn't just chemise. I also bought silk stockings.
And you didn't.
Look, you might as well go bare-legged as to wear these. You can see right through them. They're like the last of the 7 veils.
Now you know.
Look, Anne, don't you know what'll happen if you go around showing your leg through silk stockings?
What?
Never mind.
You don't want us to be wallflowers.
Look, I'd rather raise wallflowers than clinging vines.
I'm going to wear these. I'll not be a wallflower anymore. And I'm going to buy silk stockings too. And me.
I won't let you out of the house with them.
Don't you see, Dad? I've never been asked to the drugstore for a plain ordinary vanilla soda.
If it's a vanilla soda that you want,
Oh,
then...
Dad!
And as for boys, they don't get serious about the type of girl that wears silk stockings. They just run around with them.
If you ask me, it's a dead giveaway to be so suspicious. It denotes a misspent youth.
Well, nobody asked you! Now, Anne, when a man picks a woman to marry, he wants someone that he can respect.
Boys respect me. Boys respect me so much they hardly look at me.
Now, Anne, come back here. I don't want you wasting time with a lot of boys. Just look how much fun we have right here with our family projects.
You don't understand. You don't understand at all. I wish your job was selling shoes and you only had 1 or 2 children. And then neither one of them was me.
I guess we'd better go start on the yard work. Come on.
Let's go give a hand in the kitchen.
Okay. Good girls.
I can straighten up the living room.
Boss, what is it I don't understand?
The high school girls.
Remember when we decided how many children to have? Remember what I suggested?
You suggested we have all boys.
Well, I'm not blaming you, boss, but you should have followed my suggestion. High school girls. By jingo, there's only one way to handle it.
Just like in a factory.
Hey, Ern,
What, Frank?
why doesn't Dad want you girls wearing silk stockings and going on dates?
I don't know why.
But he has a reason. I mean, he wouldn't do it without a reason.
No, he wouldn't.
But what could the reason be? Do you remember that one time? I think it was after Dan bought the $5 dog. About 2 weeks after Ann first showed Dad the silk stockings.
I remember the battle over those stockings.
But a little while after that, Dad and Dr. Burton had a long conference upstairs. And then they came down together and Dad was joking.
And we didn't think anything about it. We didn't even have suspicion.
That's the sign.
And they were so cheerful. Gosh, Frank, when a man who doesn't children gets told his heart is on a blink, what's he going to do?
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that's the reason Dad doesn't want you girls thinking about boys and movies and sodas all the time.
It wouldn't contribute to skipping grades at school.
But don't you see? The further along we were in school, the more we knew about everything. The easier it would be later on.
Of course.
We'd be able to take care of ourselves better. There'd be less of a load on Mother.
You can't blame him for not wanting us to waste time on dates and things like that, but we didn't know.
And he didn't know either. I mean, like Mother said, about high school girls.
I guess boys and things. Dad must have figured it was all a shocking waste of time.
The way I remember, first boy call came on the same evening Dad had the big session with Doc Burton.
I think Dad and the doctor went upstairs after dinner that night.
That's right. You and I were there playing checkers.
And then they came down and Dad was joking.
Yeah, somehow you should just realize. Somehow you should understand at the time what the doctor was saying to Dad.
But they just seemed so casual. It just passed like any other conversation. Like any ordinary conversation might pass.
Yeah, I was sitting here, and you were sitting there.
And I hardly noticed. I guess I was daydreaming.
Hey, Ern, your move.
What?
Your move.
Oh.
Sure about that?
Of course I'm sure.
All right.
I suppose you feel proud of yourself.
Another game?
Quacks. You're all a bunch of quacks.
I hear it so much there must be something to it.
The Gilbreth are rugged, pioneer stuck. No time for nonsense like being sick.
What about the Gilbreth measles epidemic last spring?
I bet even pioneers got the measles.
It's possible.
You old fake. Now you're trying to say I shouldn't take out any 3-year magazine subscriptions.
Absolute waste of money.
Well, what about a 1-year subscription?
I'd still save my money. If I were you, I'd think about short-term subscriptions. Maybe 6 months.
That's an awful short-term subscription.
A man with your responsibilities doesn't want to waste his money.
Mr. Bones? I say, Mr. Bones, I don't believe a word you say. Besides, I feel too good, and I'm too busy.
Fine, then I won't have to worry about it. See you next week.
You bet you will.
What magazine are you subscribing for, Dad?
Never you mind. Now, what's this?
We already finished our homework.
Well, that's fine, but you didn't have to stop there. Look, if you keep doing extra, then eventually you'll be able to skip a grade.
But I just skipped a grade last year.
Then start thinking about next year. Look, I don't want you held back by a school system that's geared for children of average parents. That's one of the topics of discussion. Silk stockings?
I've been wearing them at school, and I guess you might as well know it.
Next thing I know, you'll be wanting to paint yourself.
Everybody uses makeup nowadays.
They don't call it painting anymore.
Well, I don't care what they call it. I'll not have any painted women in this house.
What you want is a house full of old maids.
What I want is for you to get ahead in the things that matter by yourself without me having to hound you all the time.
And the topic for tonight's family council is skipping grades at school.
Yes, by genuine, a little better organization around here.
But we voted all topics should be of general interest.
Better organization is always of general interest.
Dad's so smart. Why can't he understand?
You poor thing.
Hey, your move. Are you sure about that?
Of course I'm sure. Hey!
Another game?
No. Get him out of here! Of all the dumb dogs.
What do you expect for $5? Up on Dad's bed again.
He's always on Dad's bed. He's crazy about Dad.
Basement window, across the coal bin, up the back stairs, Dad's bed.
He was right about that dog. Now he'll think he's right about everything.
Clothes, makeup, and everything.
They're so hoping the boys will go mad over them at school.
Over them?
What's so ridiculous about that?
Nothing, only...
Only what?
If you've got anything to
I
say.
just wouldn't think you'd have that sort of effect on anybody. That's all.
Of course, we've known you all our lives. Some boy who didn't know you so well.
Thanks for the compliment.
I think you're very good swimmers and at tennis.
We don't care for your opinion.
Other boys don't feel like that about us, do they?
I've never even heard the subject mentioned.
If you want an honest, frank answer, then
We don't sit down.
all those silk stockings, what good did they do?
Someday you're gonna be surprised. Someday that phone's gonna ring, and
It'll be somebody for Dad. Hello? What? You want to speak with who? You're absolutely sure. You haven't got him mixed up with somebody else?
Who's it for?
You don't mean Ann Gilbert, the one with the freckles? Hello? Are you still there? Please don't hang up. No, thank goodness. Please don't hang up.
what are you saying?
And imagine, a boy calling for you. Isn't that wonderful? Hurry before he hangs up.
That phone!
Imagine for you.
He's smacking the grass! Hello? Yes, this is Ann Gilbert. Who? It's nice of you to call. Go ahead, talk to him. Say something. I can't.
I'll take care of them.
We're only kidding. Hey, Frank, she needs it.
No, nothing's the matter. Yes, this is a very good time to call. Where have I been all your life? Mostly I've been right here. Kid him along. Of course I'd be glad to have a soda with you. You mean right now? At night? What about Dad? You're driving right over? And you don't have permission. That'll be fine. Give a little toot on your horn when you get here. Be seeing you. Who is it? Joe Scales? Golly, the cheerleader. In the car, too.
No, I don't know. He's a little undersized.
What if he is? You can't expect to start with a khaki captain of the football team. Besides, maybe if some people begin taking us out, then other people will, maybe.
He's got the best car at school. You should hear it backfire.
But what are you going to tell Dad? Sooner or later, he's got to realize.
Don't you think it's better if he realizes just a little bit at a time?
I don't know when I'll get another chance. I bet there'll be a lot of people down at the drugstore. I bet there'll be almost everybody.
If Dad lets you go,
You might
then
have a project. Don't you see? This is the start. Boys notice girls that other boys notice. And then you begin getting popular, and then you meet someone you really want to meet.
And if Dad lets you start having dates, then he can't be so strict with us.
No! That's why it's so important. It's the start of everything, that's all. Mother!
Your father will be down in a minute. He has some things for the family council to take up.
Mother, there was a phone call. A boy called for me.
That's nice.
I think he's a very well-brought-up boy.
He's the cheerleader.
He asked me to have a soda with him down at the drugstore.
When?
Tonight. He said he'd come right over.
He has his own car. I don't think tonight's a very good night for it. Some other night.
But if I break the first date I've ever had, there won't be any other night.
Please, Mother.
Say something to Dad. I wish some other time. But when? When?
I suppose you have to start sometime, though.
I already told him yes.
Maybe we could bring it up then to the council. He'll be especially cooperative. I hope this boy is the quiet, reassuring type.
Oh, he is.
He's small, too, only that high. Well, that's reassuring.
Now we'll see who's going to get distracted.
Put down that umbrella.
Frank, give your mother a chair.
Oh, we were trying to teach a few things to the dog. We made a new bed for him under the porch. He's sure to stay there.
Why, Jingo, eat better. Now, I'm calling this family meeting to order. If there are any topics of general interest...
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go on to the topic of roller skates.
Not of general interest.
I'm interested.
Sit down.
The trouble is, you always decide what's of general interest, and we never have a chance. I don't think that's very democratic.
Nonsense. Look, I always favor a family discussion before going into the business of it. And I can't ever recall being unreasonable as to the subject matter.
I might sometimes see a boy who's in my history class.
He's the cheerleader.
Not of general interest.
He is. We're all very interested.
Well, not me. I'm bored stiff. Now, a family might sometimes see a two-headed boy. Now that would be of general interest.
I'd be very interested in a two-headed boy.
Yes, well, the business tonight, I have a new method of multiplication. It's bound to make a wonderful impression on your math teachers.
Is that of general interest, Daddy?
That, son, is a matter of utmost general interest. But before I go into the business of the meeting, I have an announcement to make. I have been invited to go speak at the World Management Conference in London. And despite the opposition of a few worriers, I intend to go. But I am going to leave this house in a smooth running condition without being such a load on your mother.
They're not such a load.
We're going to organize a purchasing committee. And you'll buy food, clothes, and equipment. Then you're going to elect a utilities officer to levy 5-cent fines on wasters of water and electricity.
Of course. We'll all help, Dad. And since that's settled, I move we adjourn.
We need more system. I'm installing work charts in the bathroom, and you're to initial them every day after washing faces, doing dishes, homework, so on. That way your mother only has to glance at the charts.
I think we're all in favor, and I think we ought to adjourn.
It's getting late. It sure is.
Look, I'd like to see you doing well in school. The most important part of it right now is your schoolwork, your education.
Couldn't we go into that tomorrow? We're all doing fine in our studies.
Well, look, I'd like to see you doing better. Skipping grades every now and then. I just need you to get ahead in school as fast as you can.
Mr. Chairman, please, I move we adjourn. I second the motion.
Look, what I'm trying to say is that anything that distracts you from that, what I'm trying to say, if you just... Are you in any way responsible responsible for that noise?
I'm responsible.
Great Caesar's ghost, what's that written on his car? Jump in, sardine, here's your 10.
There's more on the other side. He asked Anna if she could go have a soda with him. I think it might be all right.
I already finished my homework.
What about the mathematics project?
Couldn't I get it from Ernestine later? I promise I'll get it done.
Tell him to stop that.
Joe, park the car and come on in. Dad, please be nice.
Frank, I won't have you embarrass Anne.
Well, what do you want me to do? Go wait in the kitchen?
We're going to have a talk before you say anything to that boy. He may be very nice.
He's the cheerleader.
Well, that does it.
Frank, you keep an open mind.
Any girl that would pick a boy over a mathematics project.
Now what?
Hey, the gang's all here. What's the matter? Didn't you hear me, huh?
We heard you.
Some horn, eh?
My brothers and sisters.
The babies are upstairs.
Some family.
We've never seen a cheerleader before. Gee.
How do you like my tie? That's a William Tell tie, see? You pull the bow, and it hits the apple, William Tell tie. Pull the bow, and it hits the apple. Some tie, eh? Say, we're running late, we better shove off.
I think maybe my dad wants to meet you first. I think maybe he will.
The gang's all down there. We gotta get going.
Haven't you got time to show us a cheer?
Yes!
No!
Show us a cheer.
I'd like to see that.
Sure thing.
Not now, are you crazy?
What are you worrying about? I'll show you one cheer, then we'll get going, okay? Okay. Come on and follow me. Ready? Okay. Hoorah, Ray and a tiger. Arr! For Montclair High. Hoorah, Ray and a tiger. Arr! I want to hear you holler now. Ready? Hoorah! Ray. Hey.
Yeah, Frank. Dad? I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Joe Scales.
How do you do, young man?
Hiya, Pop.
Remember now. Dad, Joe asked me to go have a soda with him. Down at the drugstore. He says the gang's already down there.
What about the project?
I'd like to go, Dad.
Well, I'm always reasonable. I suppose a soda shouldn't take too long.
Dad!
Now, let's see, I can take time out for 15 or 20 minutes.
Take time for what?
Well, to chaperone you, of course.
A chaperone? With me?
Well, you didn't think I was going to let her out of the house alone with you, did you?
Well, what's wrong with me?
It'd take a lot more than 15 minutes to answer that.
I can't walk into the drugstore in front of everybody, followed by a girl's father. Well, what's wrong with me?
Young man, that's what they call a rhetorical question.
Oh. Well, I don't care if it is. I'm not going to be chaperoned in any drugstore.
Please, Joe.
Don't you trust your own flesh and blood?
Of course he does.
Certainly I trust Anne. I trust all of my children. It's, cheerleaders I don't trust.
That's the way you feel? I'm leaving. I'll get someone else.
A judicious decision.
Wait a minute,
That
Joe.
must have been crazy.
Some date, huh, Ann?
What did I tell the guys at the drugstore what happened to me dating Gilbert?
You're not going to tell everyone. It isn't Anne's fault.
What did I tell them? You'll get no more dates like me.
A hooray and a tiger for us.
Huh?
Dad! No, wait till I talk to you. I don't see what harm would have been done if I'd gone for a soda. I'll tell them all. I'm so embarrassed.
Cheerleaders. Absolute waste of time. Now, let's just do a little on the math project, and then I'll take you to a movie, and we'll buy candy and popcorn and have a wonderful time.
No one in this family understands me. I wish I was dead.
What a thing to wish. No more nonsense now. Now I'm going to teach you how to multiply two-digit numbers in your head. Now first, to multiply 52 times 98, you take the reciprocal of 52, and then you take that times 98, and then you find the denominator.
Those people that were playing the music must have shut their window.
Remember when the neighborhood patrollers used to play that?
And lock hands, here comes Charlie. Someone, me and the boyfriend.
You gotta see Mom every night, or you can't see Mom at all.
Those old tunes make me think of a cheerleader back at Montclair
and a stripped-down Model T, suitably inscribed with, "Chicken, here's your roost. 4 wheels, no brakes. The tin you love to touch."
Those old jalopies were just as good as our own car.
I remember riding with Dad in the old Pierce Arrow. One time, some guy yelled out, "I see 12 kids!" And Dad bellowed back, "These aren't much. You ought to see the ones I left at home." Another time, some guy yelled out, "Hey, old man, what are you doing in that old ark?" And Dad said, "I'm out collecting animals like the good Lord told me. All I need now is a 2-legged mule. Hop in!"
The most embarrassing part was we'd come to a toll bridge and Dad would play his favorite game. He'd guess the nationality of the collector, and then, "Hey, do my Irishmen come cheaper by the dozen?"
Irishman, is it? Surely it wasn't meant for a family like that to pay tolls.
Sometimes it was a Dutch collector.
Ah, that's a fine lot of healthy Dutchman. Right through onto a house.
Even out for a drive, Dad still couldn't stop teaching. We'd pass a factory. He'd explain how they used a plumb line to get the chimney straight.
Because he was in such a hurry for us. All the systems, study projects, committees. Boy, were you terrible as head of the purchasing committee.
The purchasing committee got wholesale weights from underwear to baseballs. And just look at the saving on canned food when we ordered direct by the truckload.
How about 96 jars of peanut butter?
Well, everybody likes a lot of peanut butter.
I don't, not anymore.
Look, the committees were a wonderful idea. They eliminated waste motions and made things easier to money.
You didn't used to talk that way back then. Back then, all you girls talked about were boys and dates.
But that's because the boy hardly dared call it our house. That little cheerleader did everything but nail a quarantine sign on our door.
I remember Anne burning up. I'm experiencing what can only be described as a living nightmare.
And Dad picked that particular time to step up the efficiency program.
He didn't exactly pick that time.
Well, I didn't mean that.
Sure, none of us knew. It always just seemed like Dad was extra impatient.
Like the time after the psychologist came to give us those examinations.
I remember those examinations. But Anne didn't know about them. She didn't know they might mean she could graduate ahead of her class.
When she missed dinner and most of the tests, Dad was wow. He kept checking his watch every 3 minutes. If that psychology teacher hadn't been there, he'd have been roaring like a lion.
I know. We had finished the exams early. Let's go upstairs. So did some of the other kids. I think they did too.
Frank! That is! It isn't coming from down the street. That's one of our controllers!
The girls' bathroom?
It's the one of the boys!
Was it dumb?
Hey, listen, Dad's running up
We'd better go shut up before
Dad comes in.
Quiet! I said quiet! You too!
Who's playing those?
I don't know.
Anne didn't come in? No.
the boys' bathroom.
The girls.
Look, there's no use trying to get around me now. Turn them off and come down here.
That psychology teacher will think that I told you to turn them on. She'll think I'm trying to impress her.
Well, aren't you?
How'd you do on your trick examination?
I did practically perfect.
Me too. Well, it certainly didn't take you long. You and whoever put on those records.
Guten Abend.
Bonsoir, mon père.
You know, if you spent half as much time improving your mind as you do listening to those silly records, you'd be able to recite the encyclopedia frontwards and backwards.
Ich bin durstig. Die Milch ist gut. Das Wasser ist kalt.
Frère
Ich muss einen Apfel
Jacques.
haben.
Frère Jacques. Dormez-vous.
Ich weiß nicht, was soll es bedeuten, dass ich so traurig
Sonne la matinée.
Ein Märchen aus alten Zeiten.
Ding dong
Kannst
bell.
mir nicht aus dem
Ding
Sinn
dong
kommen.
bell.
All right, that's it. Let's put on some more of those jazz records. Boo-boo. Hey, let's have that old record, Love My Sweetie Forever and a Day.
That's not a record. You made it up.
Well, maybe so, but believe me, it's better than most.
We bought those jazz records with our own money. Anne, Ern, and me. Who wants to recite the encyclopedia backwards? Me.
Just look at the report cards you brought home.
What's so wrong with a B average?
Last year you got straight A's.
Last year, I skipped a grade. It takes a while to catch up.
Even so, all these afternoons out with boys, listening to jazz and drinking soda. Look, I told you it wouldn't improve your marks, and that proves me right.
We hardly spend any time with boys.
people will call a normal social life. Some people have dates on school nights.
Well, it's practically night now, and a school night, and where's your sister?
We told you 10 times. She went to a movie with a boy.
All afternoon? She missed dinner, and now she's missing the examination. She knows she should be back.
Well, Bill went with her.
She remembered your rule, a brother on every date.
But she's making him miss the exam, too. Why didn't she just bring that boy here instead of running off like that?
Why?
Yes, why?
Because of the way you scared Joe Scales. He's got the rest of the boys afraid to come here. Even that friend of mine.
Oh, the one with the motorcycle. The one who keeps buzzing the house with that noisy contraption at all hours.
Well, he's trying to work up the nerve to come in.
What's he so afraid of?
You!
Me?
Yes!
Why should any boy be afraid of me? Look,
I think it's back!
look, run outside and tell him that your father's leaving for London soon, and he won't have to work on his nerve much longer.
She already did. I think he stopped. Oh, no, there he goes. Joe Scales' car is much louder. I hear motorcycle back.
He's still working on his nerve.
Is Ann back yet?
No. For all I know, she's eloped.
She went to a movie!
Mrs. Gilbreth, I'm not getting any help in the kitchen.
With all these examinations, things are upset.
Hop to it.
Martin and I better see to the business.
But I'm not supposed to wash dishes.
What about Dan and Jackie and Lily?
They're still finishing the exam.
Now I know why they're taking so long.
I thought they were screaming dinner.
Who?
With the woman examiner,
Miss Brill.
she came late and was trying to catch up. Jackie tried to be so helpful. He told her, no need to gobble your grapefruit like a pig. If we finish ahead of you, we'll wait till you're through.
They made a bad impression.
And Lillian,
She thinks family rules apply to guests.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I can't pass your lima dessert till you finish your lima bean.
Oh, it didn't help if Jackie asked what Miss Brill was saying was of general interest.
As a matter of fact, I don't think they care for Miss Brill. And I don't either. I don't think she's being fair.
Yeah, of all the fine teachers, we had to get this one.
She has all sorts of slanted questions, and I don't think she's marking the papers fairly.
Yes, and she's blocking my most important plan.
Plan? I thought this was just one of the school's research projects.
Well, that too.
Does this have something to do with all your trips to school?
Well, look, with Anne's mark, there's no reason why she shouldn't graduate at the end of this semester.
That's going awfully fast. She skipped a grade last year.
Yes, but if she graduates now, then she won't have to worry about school for a while. And well, with me gone, you could use the extra help.
But Anne doesn't know this test will have any bearing on when she graduates.
Well, look, I worked out a deal with the school superintendent. He's writing a paper on the effects of a home education. Naturally, he came to the right source for that.
Naturally.
So I let his Miss Brill snoop around all she wanted, and in return, he has to do something for me.
He's going to give Anne her diploma?
Well, if her marks are good enough. By jingo, they'd better be. What's the matter with that girl?
I presume you're talking about your daughter Anne? There's not a thing the matter with any of our children.
You'll find that out when you grade their papers.
And when will that be?
Look, she'll be back any minute. She's the youngest girl in her class, and she always makes A's.
Where did she go?
She went to a movie.
These tests are a little more important. They're for the superintendent.
Look, I know who they're for, and they're important to me, too.
The superintendent directed me to give these tests. That doesn't mean I approve of anyone graduating ahead of her class. And if she doesn't show up, that will be perfectly all right with me.
Look, she'll be back any minute.
What have you learned so far about the others? The results aren't conclusive.
What's so inconclusive about them?
I have to interpret the results.
Interpret? I'll give you something to interpret.
What's that? You'll see.
Did I pass?
10 seconds. Wow. It doesn't count. Bill and your older brother are here. Now, let's see. Frank, what's 52 times 52?
2116.
Good. Dan, what's 19 times 17?
323.
Good. Martha, 72 times 89.
2704.
Good girl.
You've coached them.
I've taught them. Look, do you know the capital of Columbia? Do you know the population of Des Moines according to the last census? Of course you do. But so does Dan, so does Jackie, and so does baby Jane upstairs. I'd bring her down, but it's time for a bottle.
Now you're being ridiculous.
What's 17 times 17?
Really?
256.
Good. 16 times 16.
289.
Good boy. Hey, boss, we better keep that boy.
Are there any questions you'd like to ask?
To help you interpret.
I have all I need on these proper examinations.
No questions. Dismissed. Move along with things.
Tell Mrs. Fitzgerald to keep some dinner warm.
Sure.
There's no harm in home studies, but you shouldn't try to do so much with them.
Why not?
Because if everyone went for irregular education like that, there would be no system left. There would be chaos.
Well, you'll see how much chaos you find when you grade their papers.
You can use the dining room table.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll look over your shoulder.
I do mind.
Miss Brill,
The old goat.
go up and lie down for a little. Dr. Burton says you should lie down for a little after dinner.
He's an old goat, too.
Little breast milk for
Get it out of here!
Won't you ever learn? Yeah, why always Dad's bed? Why not my bed or Martha's bed or Can's bed? Why always Dad's bed?
He just attracts dogs. Why?
Come on in, Larry. Just my house.
I'm starved.
We'll go eat.
Don't worry, and don't think I didn't notice.
Notice what?
Remember that silly part in the movie? That part all about love? I saw you hold hands.
That's a lie.
If anything like that happened, for maybe 10 seconds, it was just because of the movie and entirely involuntary.
It was?
Yeah, it was just that kind of a movie.
Oh.
See?
Well, having you tag along is simply unendurable.
Oh, I suppose you think it's durable to me. I'm starving to death.
Kid brothers.
In case you don't already know, I have 6 of them. 6 berserk kid brothers.
Yeah, I already know.
Thank heavens.
Say, I bet you're getting hungry.
Hungry?
Well, I made you miss dinner.
I miss dinner all the time. In fact, I hate dinner. If there's one thing on earth I don't care if I miss, it's dinner.
I don't seem to be very hungry either.
You're not?
Well, of course, I ate an awful lot of popcorn.
And gumdrops.
Of course, that never interfered with my appetite before. Say, would you like to go to a dance?
I mean, I could probably fit it in, depending on when the dance is.
It's tonight with a bunch of us seniors.
It just so happens tonight I'm free.
Swell. I'll change and be back for you in half an hour. I'm glad your dad isn't old-fashioned about letting you go out on school nights or anything.
School night! Wait, Larry, there's someone I have to check with first.
Another guy?
Well, he's male.
I didn't think you were the kind that stalls a fellow while you could see if you could get a better date.
I'm not. It's not like that at all. Really, Larry. It's just, like I told you, I have to get through the short examination first, and
Honestly?
honestly, but I'd rather go to a dance with you than with anyone.
That's different.
At it again. The minute my back is turned.
You don't have to sneak up on people. You might cough or something.
Just try coughing with your mouth full of peanut butter. I'd still dab your back.
Bill, Mother said we were not to worry Dad with unimportant worries.
Who said I was going to worry you?
I hope he doesn't get your father angry.
He won't. He'd better not.
I've heard an awful lot about your father.
A lot of people hear about Dad and his work.
Well, it wasn't exactly about his work.
The way he eliminates waste motions and things like that. What'd you hear?
To tell you the truth, I was almost afraid to come over here.
No!
I didn't know whether to ask you for a date or not.
You haven't been listening to that little cheerleader, that Joe Scales.
How'd you know?
Really, the things that boy says about my father. Why, he'd say anything.
He would?
You'd think my dad was some kind of a monster. When actually,
Yes.
he's friendly and agreeable and witty and has one of the sweetest tempers.
So she's back, is she?
And those rumors, just absurd.
I'm glad to hear it.
What took her so long?
He must be calling to someone. Someone at the back of the house. When Dad calls to the back of the house, you can also hear him at the front of the house.
I guess you can.
No reason why you shouldn't come here.
You mean that boy's down there right now?
Right.
I won't.
Well,
guess I better be getting along.
I suppose you had.
Guess I better.
About the dance? I don't suppose. I mean, what I mean is,
Yes?
will you be coming back?
Bye, Jingo!
Will you?
Well, I asked you to a dance, didn't I? Well, be seeing you then.
Look at it.
I told you if I started dressing like other girls, everything would be all right. And I'd be popular.
Popular? Missing dinner, dodging tests? And now you started to use makeup.
I haven't.
Well, I can see the paint. Perfume! You started using perfume!
Frank, she hasn't even had her dinner yet.
Well, it's her fault! Perfume!
Why not? It isn't painting or makeup, and it smells so good.
Why not? Because it stinks up the good fresh air. That's why not. Now, you're going to go wash it off.
Oh, Dad.
Don't you know what a man thinks of when he smells perfume on a woman?
I only know what one man thinks. He thinks I should wash it off.
Thinks nothing. Now go in there and take the exam.
She's going to eat something first.
Me too.
I don't want to eat. I want to get the exam out of the way first. I have something to do later.
Probably something to do with that boy.
Why do I need a brother tagging along every time I want to go to the movies with the boy? It's intolerable. Really, I don't know why any boy bothers with me.
Well, I know, even if you don't, and that's why a brother tags along.
Supposing I wanted to go to a dance, a really important dance, that just, for instance, happened to fall on a school night?
Now, we can think about that when the time comes.
Mother, Dad.
Well, look, no more nonsense now. Out all this time painting perfume.
It's awful.
You go along to the dining room and report to Miss Brill.
Now, Anne,
Now, Frank.
Fine, you handle this. Out all this time painting perfume. I'm glad my other daughters are a little bit more sensible and not quite so silly.
It's more circle back! Maybe this time you'll stop.
Oh.
No, hurry. Hi, Anne. Where were you? Mother, I did put on one dab of perfume, but not any makeup. See,
I'll explain it to Dad later.
it's just color.
Your color's very good tonight.
There's a reason. I'd better get going on that exam. Who'd you go with? That fullback? Larry. Mother, I had a wonderful afternoon.
You shouldn't have stayed so long. We worried about you, especially your father.
Why does Dad care so much? I mean, what if I do waste one afternoon?
Your father wants everything shipshape and efficient before he leaves for Europe. Besides, there's this test.
Why'd they have to send that Miss Brill?
I'm sure she's a fine teacher, dear. I'll tell her you're here.
What's up? What's going on? Larry asked me to a dance. He's coming right back. Are you crazy? It's a school night and you don't have permission. I don't know what I'm going to do. I better get that exam out of the way first. Is it tough? The same old IQ stuff. It's a snap. Especially for Miss IQ of Montclair High. I wish I could be Miss something else. Oh, sorry. You're stuck with it. For once, your IQ is going to be put to some good use. I can't wait to see Miss Brill's face when she grades your paper. I have a feeling she's just dying to bear down with that red pencil. Even I didn't have much trouble on the written part. And that word association test? There's nothing to it. She shoots 5 words right at you. Swell, I'm in an awful rush. If I told you the words, you could really pour it on her when she asks. Well, don't. Golly, her mouth would drop wide open. No, if every time she popped a word at you, you could pop back a bunch of answers. A whole string of associated words? Of course, it wouldn't be right if we told Anne the words on the test. No, it wouldn't. It would be wrong to tell her that the first word is knife. Don't. Or that the second is black. Please. Foot, hair, bird. You shouldn't have told me. No, you certainly shouldn't have told her that the 5 words are knife, black, foot, hair, and bird. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Gee, Anne, I'm sorry. Put them out of your mind. Forget that the 5 words on the test are knife, black, foot, hair, and bird. Forget them? After the way you've been drumming them in? Good night, I'm already thinking of the answers. Why'd you do a thing like that?
Don't you ever get down to business?
Right now.
I thought your mother told you to see to the babies.
We're seeing to them.
Until a motorcycle passes by.
I think motorcycles are wonderful. You can make a lot of noise with a motorcycle.
Anne's just breezing through the test.
Well, it's about time she did some breathing.
I think she has a crush on one of the boys at school.
Look, here are the rotation of duties and assignments. I want all this smooth running before I leave for my trip.
I wish you wouldn't go. Dr. Burton says that
Dr. Burton. We need to spend more time trying to figure out how to knock some sense into our oldest daughters.
they're perfectly normal. At least they want to be.
They want to be wasting a lot of time. And time is precious.
Is it really so important to go to this management conference?
Look, a conference like this could help me explain motion study to the world. The world could use a little efficiency. Besides, it's good for business. It costs a lot running a family like this.
Remember when we first talked about the family we'd have, our wedding day? You said we'd have a wonderful life and a wonderful family, a great big family.
I warned you. Children from the floorboard to the chandeliers, from the basement to the attic.
And when we went for a Sunday walk, we'd look like Mr. and Mrs. Pied Piper.
Mrs. Piper, shake hands with Mr. Piper. Mrs. Piper, meet Mr. Piper.
I asked you, just as an estimate, how many children? And you told me, just as an estimate, many.
Yes, and that day on the subway, you tried to appear so blasé, as if we had been married for years.
And when I took off my hat, you gave that loud whisper, "Good grief, woman, why didn't you tell me your hair was that color?" Everyone turned around to leer and wink.
I shouldn't have done that. I just wanted everyone to turn and know that you were my wife. I think the committee's working out fine. The family's getting so it could run itself.
You've thought of most everything, Mr. Piper.
Thank you, Mrs. Piper.
I told you Anne would be back on time.
I don't think she's taking the test seriously. She's just marking answers on the page as fast as she can go.
She said something about being in a hurry.
Huh.
Perhaps she has something more important.
What is it?
You're not supposed to leave the table until you're finished.
I am finished.
That's impossible.
It's finished.
You answered all the questions, the best you could.
Honestly, Dad, it was a snap.
Snap. We'll see how much of a snap it is.
You bet we will.
We'll just see how much good heavens.
Well, what's the matter?
There doesn't seem to be anything the matter.
You haven't found any wrong answers.
No, not yet.
Keep on marking.
I will. My goodness.
Anything yet?
No, not yet.
Keep marking.
I can't properly mark a paper under conditions like these.
Yet?
No, not yet.
We'll tell the whole family about this. She's a chip off the old block. All right, I have an announcement to make about your oldest sister.
Dad, she hasn't even finished marking my paper.
As far as we know, your oldest sister has just completed a perfect examination.
But Mr. Gilbreth.
As far as we know. Yet. And it also looks very much so as if Anne is going to graduate at the end of this semester.
What's this about graduating?
Mr. Gilbreth, you were instructed not to mention that.
Well, you've already got a test.
What is this?
But she hasn't had the word association test yet.
We'll give it to her.
Here? Now?
Yes, here and now.
All right, but this is highly irregular.
Anne, are you ready?
Oh, yes, she's ready. I guess so.
You know how it's done. Try to answer with the word you associate. The first word. Knife.
Stab, wound, bleed, slit, throat, murder, disembowel, scream, shriek.
Good heavens! You must have an IQ higher than Isaac Newton.
I read a lot.
Next. Black.
Velvet, night, pitch, tar, ebony.
My goodness. Next. Foot.
Kick, shoe, walk, run, stocking, dance.
Next. Hair.
Ribbon hat, pigtail, shampoo, louse.
Next.
Egg, song, nest, fly, worm, perch.
But I didn't say the word. I just said next.
That's true.
Let's see. The next word was bird. You said egg, song, nest. So that's it. You knew the next word was bird, didn't you?
How could she know?
You did know, didn't you? And you knew the IQ exam too, didn't you?
No, it was just those words. It was just a joke, sort of.
Oh, Anne.
How could you?
I see through the whole thing. You're all nasty little shit.
Miss Brills.
I told her the words on the test.
And me.
That's right, you all cheated.
No, I'm the only one.
You're the only one that got caught. I see now how you all get ahead so fast in school. I'll certainly report this whole thing to the superintendent.
But I didn't know the test meant anything.
This ends the graduation talk, and I'll certainly recommend that some of this great skimming you've done be reviewed.
Just mine. No one else's.
A lot of you.
Gosh, Dad, I couldn't help it.
What do you mean you couldn't help it?
How could everything go so wrong? I had such a wonderful afternoon at the movies with Larry. Well, he even asked me to a dance. And this had to happen.
This sort of thing didn't happen until you got boys on your mind.
She's growing up. Other things are important, too.
Important? Missing dinner, dodging tests, and now cheating on an exam. Look, I won't have the whole program ruined by some boyfriend. That ends this nonsense now.
You don't understand, Dad. When you're the youngest in your class and you feel like you have to stay right in the top bracket, you miss out on other things like, well, leadership and sociability. Going to a dance with a boy you like.
Hi, Ern. Is Anne ready?
Hello, Larry. I guess I can't make it.
Oh. So the other day came through, huh?
No!
No, that's perfectly all right. After all, it was up to you. Well,
I don't understand why there's only times for studies and systems and organizing things and getting more efficient.
And I don't understand what... Never mind.
I guess we just don't understand each other. I'm gonna hand in the kitchen.
Anne.
Okay, it was the only thing to do, really.
You're right, Dad. We better go finish with the dishes.
We'd better get back to the babies.
Yeah. Don't worry, Dad. She'll be all right.
I was painting the fence. It's still not too dark.
I'll stir the paint.
Look, I couldn't just let her run off like that. It's a question of the whole program. That's more important.
Of course it is. I better go figure out where that dumb dog is.
The whole thing. Time is so precious.
Well, they're all gone. With them all out of the living room, it's so quiet and peaceful.
It certainly is. I hate it.
Do you hear that song too? Or is it just in my mind?
No, I hear it too.
I don't know why, but it makes me think of the afternoon that Dad left for Europe.
The last time we were all together. Remember what Mother said? She meant it.
When you're all together, it's the happiest time in the world.
She said it like she meant us to remember.
It never occurred to any of us that Dad had any intention of dying till he was good and ready.
I think it occurred to Anne. I think something happened that afternoon that made her suspect.
The way I remember, Anne spent the afternoon taking the review exam for the school board. Then she was so late coming home. Dad worried he might not even get to see her.
She was late because she was waiting for that examiner to finish grading her paper. She wanted something to tell Dad before he left.
That whole misunderstanding with Dad, Anne really took it to heart. She felt so awful.
I think Dad felt even worse.
You could tell. When we put on the show for him that afternoon to give him the big send-off, he laughed and acted as though he thought it was wonderful. But you could tell.
She kept watching for Anne.
It was his favorite show, too. Our imitation of him and Mother.
I still know it by heart.
You always took the role of Dad, and I played Mother.
Remember? Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you this afternoon our first guest, Dr. Lillian Muller-Gilbert.
What?
Tell us, Mrs. Gilbert, who really wears the pants in your household?
Any other questions?
Did you really want to have so many children? And if so, why?
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Gilbert, for your enlightening answers.
Our next speaker is Mr. Frank Bumper Gilbert. Now please, keep your seats. Don't get excited. He has promised to limit himself to 2 hours, and not to mention the one best way to do work, more than twice in the same sentence.
For the purpose of convenience, I divided my talk into 30 main headings and 117 subheadings. I commence with the first heading. Work.
Mr. Gilbert, the superintendent of the factory needs his bike at once.
We will be right over. 3 seconds? Are you all reasonably sanitary? Are you all dry? All right then, follow me.
Mr. Gilbert. I'm the superintendent of this factory.
You call this a factory?
Goodness, what followed you in? Are those your children, or is it a picnic?
They're my children, and it's no picnic.
How do you like my little Bolivians? Bolivians come cheaper by the dozen. Do you think I should keep them all?
I think you should keep them all home.
Jackie boy, take your fingers out of your mouth and explain to this superintendent what's inefficient about this drill press.
A thing with a drill press? Ha!
Precisely. Lillian, explain in simple terms.
The position of the hand lever is such that there is waste motion both after transport loaded and transport empty. And the work plan of the operator is at a fatiguing level.
Oh, Mr. Gilbert, one of your children are climbing all over my machinery.
Oh, it's all right. They're trained engineers. I train them myself.
That little Bolivian is squatting over my buzzsaw. Oh, I can't bear to watch. Don't let him squat any lower.
The little rascal thinks it's a bicycle. Leave him alone. Children have to learn by doing.
I lose more children in factories. Now, the rest of you, stay away from that buzzsaw, do you hear me?
And someone make a note of that so we know how many dinner places to set for supper. Goodbye, Mr. Superintendent.
It's your turn now.
Do you want me a minstrel show?
No, let's wait until Anne gets home.
Well, what if she doesn't come home in time?
She will.
Maybe she's having trouble on her exam.
Miss Brill probably saw to that.
Nonsense. Look, and if she did have any trouble, it's because they don't know how to put together a proper exam. Some teachers just don't know their business.
Aren't you going to do any minstrel show for us?
Your father has all sorts of last-minute things to tend to. Please, just a little.
Too much on my mind, really.
Well, we won't be seeing you for a long time.
You always do that part in the show.
I know, I don't much feel like... Anne.
Hello, Dad. I didn't mean to be late. How do you do?
Did you show that Miss Brill and her school board?
They haven't finished marking my paper. I tried to explain I was in a hurry.
I'm sure you did fine. It's just... It took so long, I was beginning to worry.
It was a hard examination, Dad. I don't know how I did. I tried my best, though. My really best.
I'm sure you did. It's just, I didn't know you'd make it home on time.
Mr. Bones, I say Mr. Bones.
Yay, Dad.
Mr. Bones, does you know how they gets the water in the watermelon?
No, how does they get the water in the watermelon?
Why, you plants them in the spring.
Poor Dad. Now that's enough.
Hey, does you know Isabel? Isabel? Why, sure, Isabel necessary on a bicycle?
I set out a snack for you. No decent food on trains. There's ice cream and cookies for the rest of you.
Now, I don't know about this. When it comes to ice cream, you're right on the jump, but when it comes to a project, you're slow as molasses.
Dad.
Please.
Well, I don't know. What do you say, boss?
Did you say molasses, Mr. Bones? Why, I ain't had no lasses. Come on, Tilly.
I'm glad you hurried up and finished up and got home on time.
Oh, I didn't get home on time anyway. I mean, I wouldn't have let you
I
wait.
bet you made him feel foolish giving you a review examination.
I don't know.
Of course you did. All you had to do was get that foolishness off your mind and try the best you could.
Dad, I tried my best, but I haven't got that foolishness out of my mind.
And
Dad, she's been studying herself sick. I can't help it.
I just can't understand why you haven't any more sense.
Dad!
I'm glad I'm not the oldest. By the time he gets to us, things will be taken for granted.
I don't see why Dad cares so much.
Sometimes it seems like he's the strictest father in town.
Were there any calls for me or anything?
Larry,
Did he say anything? Did you say anything?
a little. I helped your cause.
How?
I didn't let him think you'd been studying this whole time for some exam.
That's so drab. I gave him something colorful to think about.
What? About all your other dates?
No!
I'm not so dumb.
Anytime Motorcycle Matt calls, you can keep your brilliance to yourself.
What's the matter?
Now he'll think,
Gosh, Mart. I can't help it if neither of you understand men.
don't understand men. Watch how I handle Matt.
He won't even slow down.
He'd better.
What do you mean?
You know that part in the drive where he swings in with that motorcycle? Well, this is the last time he swings. You gave me the idea.
What idea?
Nails and broken glass. I was joking!
You better warn him. I think he missed.
Got him!
My God! Oh no! It's Larry! Poor guy!
What's Larry doing on Matt's motorcycle?
Larry!
Whose idea was this?
The idea was and...
Not enough to give me the runaround, now you're trying to kill me!
Kill you? Got it all wrong!
People get thrown in jail for things like this.
You're not gonna put me in jail!
Well, no.
You can if you want to.
Why would I want you in jail? Even if you are running around with college boys while I thought you were studying. Even if you have accepted 3 fraternity pens at the same time.
If you'll excuse me, my ice cream is probably melting.
I still don't see why you put nails in the drive.
I didn't. I might have suggested the idea once as a joke. But
My ice cream is probably melting too. Bye!
I thought you were so different.
I am different, I guess.
I used to think so. I used to think you were sincere and knew about lots of things. Oh, I borrowed that motorcycle. I better go see how much damage was done.
Can I help?
You've done enough.
Aren't you going to eat any ice cream, dear? Haven't got much appetite.
Are you worried about the test?
The test and everything?
That boy?
Anything else? Dad? You're worried about Dad? We used to understand each other so well. Now it seems like we don't understand each other at all.
Your father tries to do so much. Sometimes he gets impatient.
Why is he in such a hurry for us? Why does it matter if we spend one afternoon at the movies? Seems like we have to make every minute count.
He might have a reason.
What, Mother?
He might want to get as many of his dozen as possible for school. Especially you. You're the oldest.
Well, we'll all get through school. What's the hurry?
After all, Dad's long in his 50s.
Dad's young.
People get things wrong with them. Things like heart trouble.
Is that why Dr. Burton's always coming over?
It's nothing for you to get excited about.
Mother, does Dad have heart trouble?
You see,
Does he?
you're so eager to grow up.
Mother!
Of course he wants you all getting ahead as fast as possible. Of course he wants everything efficient and organized.
Oh, Mother!
Now you're thinking it's much worse than it is.
If I'd known!
There, darling, it isn't that bad.
I forgot to put up this cross-section graph.
I can show them all later.
What is it, Dad?
1,000 lines long and 1,000 lines wide. That makes 1,000,000 little squares.
1,000,000?
Yes, son. You hear people talk a lot about big numbers these days. But not many people know what an awful lot a million is. Now you're going to see it every day.
Do you have $1 million, Daddy?
No, I have 1,000,000 children instead. Somewhere along the line, a man has to choose between the two.
I'll put it up later, Dad. I could explain what it means.
Later this afternoon. Don't you like ice cream anymore?
Me!
Now, boss, why don't you come upstairs with me while I say goodbye to the babies?
What are you going to bring back to them, Mr. Piper? Slide rules.
Why, Mrs. Piper, what a wonderful suggestion.
Well, it was just a tire and a bit mud guard. It could have been much worse.
What?
The motorcycle,
Oh.
they cost money, you know.
Well, maybe Ern and I can pay for the damage. Gradually.
No, it was pretty old and beat up anyway.
But whatever it costs.
And
Yes?
how come you spend all your time with college boys when you're supposed to be studying? I didn't think you were that kind of a girl.
I'm not.
Honestly?
Honestly, I wouldn't pretend with you. I don't think people should pretend with people.
I don't either.
So you're at it again. Shocking, 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 shocking.
He certainly has a wonderful... He certainly has a wonderful sense of timing.
Larry, with Dad leaving and all, I should probably see if I can help with things.
Sure. I'll get along. You don't really have 3 fraternity pins, do you? I mean, I wouldn't think your dad would...
Of course not. I won't have time for any nonsense like that.
What do you mean?
Sometimes a person has to push ahead with important things. Sometimes there's reasons.
Going to a dance with me? That wouldn't be important?
You don't understand. I didn't understand myself.
What?
Reasons. I can't explain. There's so much I'll have to do. I won't have much time.
Not even for senior prom.
You mean you're asking? Gosh, Larry, but it wouldn't be right. With Dad gone, things have to be pushed along.
You won't go?
I can't.
Don't you answer the doorbell anymore?
Dad, I didn't hear it.
You weren't listening.
Hello, Mr. Gilbreth.
And I thought you wanted to go to a dance.
I do, but with you leaving.
It looks to me as if I have an eldest daughter that's about to grow up. Now I wonder. Good heavens, good afternoon.
Who is it? Oh.
Won't you have a seat?
I understand you're leaving, so I'll be brief.
Did you mark my paper?
The superintendent marked it himself.
Yes?
It wasn't my idea to come here.
About what?
The examination.
Well, let's have it. I have a train to catch in a few minutes.
It's obvious to me she cheated again.
Miss Brill.
You know I didn't. You watch me every minute.
I don't claim to know how.
Look, let's get to the point. I'm in a hurry.
That's why I was sent right over.
So,
She may fool other people, but she doesn't fool me.
what was my mark?
I'm getting to it.
Well, let's see. Did she pass?
Yes.
Was it a good paper?
Yes.
Was there anything wrong with the paper?
No.
Yeah.
Die!
So there's no more question of when she graduates then?
That's what I was told to tell you. I was told to say she's to graduate at the end of this semester.
By jingo, I knew it.
That's swell.
Now, if you'll excuse me.
Thank you, Miss Brill.
Well, Miss Brill, what's 19 times 36?
Really?
19 times 36.
I'm not taking your test. Good day.
It's 684!
Hey, Dad, what's going on?
Your sister did wonderfully.
Snake hips!
Knew she would.
Insisted she take the exam. Forced it on her.
I didn't really cheat that first time, Dad.
I know. Martin Ernestine explained everything. I haven't felt so good in years.
Well, Anne, I suppose I better be heading on home.
I'm glad you came over.
About the prom?
Oh, yes. As I was saying before I was interrupted by Miss Brill, it looks to me as if you're beginning to grow up.
She is. More than you think.
And when a girl grows up, it doesn't hurt for her to go on a few dances.
You mean I can go? I won't let it interfere with my studies or anything, Dad.
Easy now. I believe you.
We'll have a safe trip, Mr. Gilbreth. And don't worry about Anne going to prom or anything like that.
You bet I won't. I'm sending Bill right along with you.
Sure thing. You know, it's really something we've taught them.
Do you want to learn how to multiply 2-digit numbers in your head?
Never mind, Jackie.
Well, be seeing you.
It's late. I've had Frank put your bags in the car already.
Good. Bye, Jingo. Seconds. That's
That's very good. I have to get going.
Daddy.
Okay, no waving goodbye nonsense. You all know your jobs and responsibilities. My last official act will be to appoint your mother here as chairman of the board. All those in favor? Your mother is now the new chairman.
Daddy, do you have to go?
Your father has to hurry.
Dad, before you go, there's just one thing I don't understand.
Just one?
I think I know why you're in such a hurry for us. But all the things you do, all your work to save time for everyone, the thing I don't understand is, what do you want to save time for?
Well, for work, if you love that best. For education, for beauty, for art, for mumbly peg, if that's where your heart lies. It's where your heart lies. That's what you save time for.
Right now is the happiest time in the world.
Oh, God. No last minute nonsense now. Get along with things. By jingo, behave yourselves.
Children, arrange yourselves. Fred, get him in our chair. Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman.